In just 147 seconds, one simple question about reading victim impact statements would expose a $5.8 million clemency corruption scheme that betrayed every family who lost someone on January 6th. Senator Elizabeth Warren didn't expect complete silence. Pam Bondi didn't expect the Capitol Police widow's letter. Cameras captured every moment as America watched their AG nominee admit she'd never read victim testimonies before coordinating pardons for their attackers. March 28, 2025, 2:45 p.m. EST. The widow's letter was 1 page long, but Pam Bondi had never read it. Senate Judiciary Committee chamber, heart-building. Attorney General nominee Pam Bondi sat confidently at the witness table, her burgundy blazer projecting federal authority. Behind her, FBI security personnel stood like silent sentinels as she prepared for what she believed would be routine confirmation questioning. What she didn't know was that Senator Elizabeth Warren possessed a manila folder containing the most morally devastating evidence in confirmation history: financial records proving $5.8 million in family payments for coordinating presidential pardons and victim impact statements that Bondi had never read before facilitating clemency for the criminals who destroyed their lives. But this story begins 8 weeks earlier when Officer Sicknick's mother wrote a letter that would topple a nomination. Gladys Sicknick sat at her kitchen table in New Jersey, struggling to find words that might reach officials who seemed determined to forget her son's sacrifice. The letter she wrote contained just 347 words, but each one carried the weight of a mother's grief. "My Brian died defending democracy from violent criminals," she wrote. "I beg the Justice Department to ensure his killers face full accountability and never escape justice through political manipulation." That letter, along with 47 others from January 6 victim families, was submitted to DOJ files in December 2024. Each testimony represented years of physical and emotional damage. Those 48 letters sat unread in DOJ files, while Bondi's family businesses received $5.8 million for coordinating pardons for the same criminals whose victims were begging for justice. Behind wire-rimmed glasses, Warren had built her career destroying officials who betrayed working families for personal profit. The Massachusetts Democrat possessed folders marked "Confidential Banking Committee Investigation," containing evidence that would expose systematic victim betrayal. Families begging for justice, while the future Attorney General's family got rich facilitating pardons for their loved ones' killers. When Treasury's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network flagged suspicious transactions, analysts discovered sophisticated money laundering. Bondi Legal Consulting, LLC, $2.1 million controlled by sister-in-law Maria Santos. Presidential Defense Solutions, $1.9 million owned by brother Tony Bondi, and Bondi Family Trust, $1.8 million in personal offshore accounts. The moral timeline was devastating. December 15, 2024, Capitol Police families submit 48 victim impact statements. December 18, $2.1 million transferred to Bondi Legal Consulting. January 6, 2025, additional $1.9 million payment. January 15, audio recording captures Bondi-Trump coordination about clemency fee schedules. While grieving families wrote letters pleading for justice, Bondi's relatives were setting up shell companies to profit from pardoning their loved ones' attackers. Warren spent 9 weeks building evidence, combining financial forensics with moral clarity that would make denial impossible. Banking records showing payment patterns, corporate documentation revealing family business coordination, but anchored by letters from grieving families revealing the human cost of every dollar Bondi's family had received. Meanwhile, Bondi was growing paranoid about congressional oversight. Her attorney warned, if Warren has banking records showing family payments coordinated with clemency discussions, this becomes federal bribery with a moral dimension that's politically unsurvivable. What they didn't anticipate was Warren possessing victim impact statements, proving the human cost of every dollar Bondi's family had received. March 28th, 2:30 p.m. The chamber had been transformed for Warren's presentation. Large screens for displaying financial evidence, audio equipment for DOJ recordings, and letters from grieving families that Bondi had never bothered to read. CNN positioned cameras for maximum impact. Fox News struggled with covering systematic victim betrayal by Trump administration figures. The press gallery overflowed with reporters tracking victim betrayal documents. But none knew about the moral timeline connecting $5.8 million in family payments to 48 unread victim impact statements. Chairman Grassley called the hearing to order. The committee will examine financial ethics, family business arrangements, and Justice Department independence. Bondi opened, emphasizing victim advocacy. I'm honored to discuss my commitment to Justice Department integrity and absolute dedication to protecting victims' rights and ensuring their testimonies receive appropriate consideration in all prosecutorial decisions. Warren's eyes narrowed. Bondi had just committed under oath to a position that documented evidence would destroy. For 45 minutes, questioning proceeded normally. Republican senators praised Bondi's experience. Democrats probed standard topics. Bondi responded confidently, demonstrating expertise that had made her Trump's trusted defender. But Warren sat silently, organizing materials combining financial complexity with moral simplicity. At exactly 2:45 p.m., Warren opened the folder, exposing both systematic corruption and breathtaking moral indifference. Ms. Bondi, I want to discuss your family's financial arrangements during clemency coordination and whether you reviewed victim impact statements before facilitating pardons for the criminals who harmed those same victims. Warren's voice carried precision, developed through decades destroying corporate executives, but with moral weight that made this different from routine oversight. Bondi remained alert. Senator, my family's legitimate consulting businesses operate completely independent of prosecutorial considerations, and clemency processes follow established Justice Department protocols. Established protocols, Warren repeated, removing her first document. Ms. Bondi, are you familiar with Victim Impact Statement VIS 2024-0847 from Gladys Sicknick, mother of fallen Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick? Warren possessed actual victim testimonies. Let me read Mrs. Sicknick's exact words. My Brian died defending democracy from violent criminals. I beg the Justice Department to ensure his killers face full accountability and never escape justice through political manipulation. The moral foundation was established. This wasn't abstract corruption. It was betrayal of grieving families. But then Warren delivered the financial bomb. Mrs. Sicknick's letter was submitted December 15, 2024. 3 days later, your family business received the first installment of $5.8 million for coordinating presidential clemency operations. Warren displayed banking charts. Wells Fargo wire transfer WT 2024-4471, dated December 18th, $2.1 million from Trump Legal Defense Fund to Bondi Legal Consulting, LLC. Payment purpose? Presidential clemency coordination and January 6th pardon facilitation. The moral mathematics was devastating. While Mrs. Sicknick begged for justice, Bondi's family received millions for coordinating pardons for her son's killers. Social media exploded. Hashtag Sicknick betrayal began trending, followed by Bondi blood money. The moral clarity made viral sharing inevitable. Working families betrayed by wealthy officials profiting from their pain. Ms. Bondi, did you read Mrs. Sicknick's letter requesting justice before your family received $2.1 million for coordinating clemency for January 6th defendants who killed her son? Warren's question was simple, direct, and morally undeniable. Either Bondi had read victim testimonies and coordinated pardons anyway, or she'd never bothered reading them while profiting from clemency coordination. Senator, clemency coordination involves complex legal protocols requiring careful review of multiple factors, Bondi replied desperately. That's not what I asked. Did you personally read victim impact statements from January 6th families before your family received payments for pardon coordination? Silence stretched for 15 seconds. Every camera captured Bondi's struggle between admitting moral indifference or lying under oath. I have not personally reviewed all victim impact submissions in their entirety, Bondi finally admitted, barely audible. The admission hit like a nuclear weapon. The future Attorney General had coordinated clemency for criminals without reading testimonies from their victims' families. Warren immediately displayed the payment timeline. December 15th, 48 victim families submit impact statements. December 18th, your family receives $2.1 million. January 6th, additional $1.9 million payment. January 15th, final $1.8 million to your personal accounts. Miss Bondi, your family received $5.8 million for coordinating pardons for criminals whose victims' testimonies you never bothered reading. Warren then activated audio that would create the most viral confirmation moment. This is your conversation with President Trump on January 10, 2025, obtained through DOJ monitoring. Bondi's voice filled the chamber. The clemency fee structure ensures proper coordination. January 6th defendants, $500,000 per individual pardon. Federal case dismissals, $750,000 each. Family protection categories, $1 million premium. Trump's response confirmed systematic betrayal. Perfect. The consultation fees ensure legal cover while we fix this injustice against our people. The audio revealed the moral core. Criminals called our people, while actual victims' families were ignored. At 2:47 p.m., exactly 147 seconds after Warren's devastating questioning began, the moral weight triggered Bondi's complete breakdown. This is disgraceful persecution of legitimate legal consultation, Bondi exploded, launching to her feet with unprecedented fury. My family provided professional services through proper channels. Warren remained calm, holding Mrs. Sicknick's letter. Professional services? You took $5.8 million for coordinating pardons without reading a single word from victims' families. The moral contrast was absolute. Warren holding a widow's letter, Bondi screaming about family profits. You profited from pardoning the people who killed Officer Sicknick, while his mother's letter begging for justice sat unread in your files, Warren continued with devastating precision. Bondi's response revealed complete moral bankruptcy. Clemency coordination protects constitutional governance through proper legal channels. Warren delivered her crushing blow while holding victim impact statements. Mrs. Sicknick lost her son defending democracy. Officer Edwards suffered permanent injuries. Sergeant Dunn's family watches him struggle with trauma. 48 families total lost loved ones or saw them permanently damaged. You never read their words requesting justice, but you made sure your family got rich pardoning their attackers. That's not constitutional governance. That's systematic moral bankruptcy for personal profit. The chamber fell silent as complete implications crystallized. This transcended political corruption. It was systematic betrayal of grieving families for family enrichment. At 2:50 p.m., Chairman Grassley suspended proceedings as Bondi was escorted from the chamber, her nomination destroyed by 147 seconds of evidence combining financial sophistication with moral clarity. Within hours, the moral earthquake devastated Washington. Capitol Police families issued statements expressing complete betrayal by officials who profit from our pain. Mrs. Sicknick told CNN, I wrote that letter praying someone would care about justice for my Brian. Instead, she got rich pardoning his killers without reading my words. Republican senators couldn't defend the moral arithmetic. Senator Susan Collins, profiting from clemency while ignoring victim impact statements, represents complete unfitness for law enforcement leadership. Senator Mitt Romney, when officials profit from pardoning criminals whose victims they never bothered to hear, they betray everything our justice system represents. Hashtag Sicknick betrayal dominated social platforms, generating 67 million mentions within 24 hours. Video clips of Warren reading victim letters while Bondi screamed about family profits reached 156 million views, becoming the most morally devastating confirmation moment in history. TikTok users created tribute videos combining Mrs. Sicknick's letter with footage of Officer Sicknick defending democracy, viewed over 200 million times. By 8:15 p.m., facing moral condemnation from both parties, Pam Bondi withdrew her nomination. Her statement mentioned political persecution while making no reference to victim families or the moral cost of systematic betrayal. The 147 seconds when Warren combined financial forensics with victim advocacy became a watershed moment in congressional oversight. Sometimes the most powerful weapon against corruption isn't complex financial analysis alone. It's reading a widow's letter while officials who profited from betraying her plea for justice scream about protecting their business arrangements. Warren proved that combining financial sophistication with moral clarity creates undeniable truth. Working families systematically betrayed by wealthy officials who build profitable business models around their pain. The victim letters changed everything. The 147 seconds changed history.